If you thought that the news cycle around the many scandals constantly coming out of the Pentagon because of our DUI hire Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth was over, if you thought people have moved on, if you thought the pressure had stopped, you are wrong, and thankfully so. Because not only does Pete Hegseth have a new scandal bubbling, but Donald Trump has taken notice. In an interview he just gave, he hinted at the fact that things could be looking pretty grim pretty soon for Pete Hegseth, and we are going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, of course, there have been so many scandals surrounding Pete Hegseth, but one that Democrats have now taken into their own hands and are running with in the most perfect way starts where I want to start, with his makeup studio that was called out by Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs right here, and then we are going to check out what Trump had to say.
This is a really simple amendment. What it says is that no funds can be used to construct, sustain, outfit, or maintain a makeup studio for the Secretary of Defense. Secretary Hegseth is more interested in concealing and covering up his mishandling of sensitive attack plans and his blemishes than strengthening our national security. We don't need a made-for-TV defense secretary. We don't need someone more interested in their appearance than in ensuring the safety of our service members. But according to a CBS News report, Secretary Hegseth has ordered a new makeup studio at the Pentagon that will cost taxpayers thousands of dollars. I know my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have been trying to avoid their constituents, so maybe they've forgotten, but many Americans right now can't afford to spend thousands of dollars on superficial things like this. Many Americans are taking on debt just to buy groceries. People can't afford the rising costs of housing, healthcare, childcare, and education when their paychecks aren't going up either. These reports of the Secretary of Defense spending taxpayer dollars on a makeup studio are further proof that everything this administration is spewing about waste, fraud, abuse, and efficiency is total bullshit. This is about furthering their agenda, whether it's paying for a tax cut for billionaires or looking good on TV. This makeup studio isn't going to make Americans safer. It won't protect the lives of our service members. It won't strengthen our national security. Now, many of you have seen my makeup videos. I wish Congresswoman Mace was still here at this markup, because I know she has. I pay for my own makeup with my own personal funds, not at taxpayer dollars. And if Secretary Hegseth wants to use his personal funds on this, he should feel free to do so. I understand he made a pretty penny on Fox and Friends. But I don't think hard-working American taxpayers should shoulder the cost of Secretary Hegseth's personal vanity project. To me, this seems pretty common sense. So I urge all of my colleagues to support my amendment so that not a cent of taxpayer dollars can be spent on this makeup studio.
I think this is perfect. Donald Trump and Elon Musk claim that they want to trim the fat, they want to cut the waste, they want to make government run more efficiently. And Pete Hegseth is spending our taxpayer dollars to build a makeup studio for himself so he looks prettier on TV. What happened to bringing back the manliness? What happened? We're tough guys. We're rough and tumble. We're fighting. Now, there's nothing wrong with a guy, throwing on a little foundation, a little base. That's not wrong. But there is something wrong with spending 100,000 taxpayer dollars in doing so, Mr. Manly Pete Hegseth. So yes, Sarah Jacobs, continue to hammer this home. I love that it was a resolution that she introduced, and I love that Pete Hegseth continues to screw himself over in just the most public ways, which he did, accidentally attacking Donald Trump, and it's the reason that we're going to get into what Donald Trump had to say about him recently. But let's check out this article first. No idea what he's doing. Hegseth roasted for ending Biden initiative championed by Marco Rubio and signed into law by Donald Trump. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announced on Tuesday that he canceled a program that promoted women in national security and military roles in the U.S. government, sparking a quick backlash. This morning, I proudly ended the Women, Peace, and Security program inside the Department of Defense. WPS is yet another woke, divisive social justice Biden initiative that overburdens our commanders and troops, distracting from our core task, warfighting, Hegseth wrote on X. Hegseth continued, WPS is a United Nations program pushed by feminists and left-wing activists. Politicians fawn over it. Troops hate it. DoD will hereby executive the minimum of WPS required by statute and fight to end the program for our next budget. Good riddance, WPS. Hegseth's announcement quickly raised eyebrows, though, as the Women, Peace, and Security Act, which created the program he ended, was not only signed into law by Donald Trump in 2017, but was also sponsored in Congress by key members of Trump's current cabinet. Punchbowl News' Andrew Desiderio connected some of the dots in a reply to Hegseth, writing, Marco Rubio was the lead Senate sponsor of WPS, Kristi Noem was the House sponsor, and Mike Waltz chaired the House's WPS caucus. Rubio is, of course, Trump's Secretary of State, while Noem serves as Homeland Security, and Waltz is the National Security Advisor. Ending the war on woke that was perpetuated by who? Donald Trump. This is an idiotic administration, eating its own and attacking itself. Pete Hegseth has no idea what he's doing on a day-to-day basis, and he makes that, ever so clear anytime he opens his mouth or really does anything at all. It's almost like he should be fired. And it seems like Donald Trump might be starting to think that, as we can see in this interview right here. Better get his act together. Trump hints he's ready to make a move against Hegseth. Donald Trump sat down for a lengthy interview with The Atlantic where he gave a hint that he's troubled by his defense secretary Pete Hegseth's job performance so far. The Pentagon chief has embroiled in scandal for weeks over his usage of the non-secure Signal app to plan military operations with individuals outside of the government, including The Atlantic's editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg, who the president invited to the interview along with 2 correspondents for the magazine. This will be very, very interesting, Trump said, by way of greeting us as we approach the Resolute desk. Wrote reporters Ashley Parker and Michael Schur. You think Biden would do this? I don't think so. When we mentioned the turmoil at the Pentagon, including recent reporting that Hegseth had installed a makeup room in the building, the president smiled. Parker and Schur wrote, I think he's going to get it together, Trump said of Hegseth. I had a talk with him, a positive talk, but I had a talk with him. Trump also said that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz was fine despite being beat up by accidentally adding Goldberg to the Signal chat. What did Trump told his staffers after the controversy? Maybe don't use Signal, okay? If you start to make him look bad and he can do it on his terms and doesn't feel like he's capitulating to the press, he'll make a move. And I think Hegseth is clearly on a clear warning that if you don't get your act together, you're out, which probably should be the way you do it. If you're losing all of your staff and you have a lot of controversy, what is kind of an important department, the Department of Defense kind of keeps us safe. And so you do what you want. Smart leadership. Yeah, I don't think it's a crazy idea to fire the guy creating all the chaos and problems and scandals at the Pentagon. Is it an understatement to say it's kind of an important department? It's the Pentagon. What? Yes, the incompetence of this administration is on constant display. It is shocking how bad these people are at their jobs and how little they seem to care. And this is the same conversation around tariffs with this flip-flopping around Hegseth. Maybe we'll get rid of him. Maybe he'll stay. What? How do you not have a clear plan? How do you not have a clear idea? How do you not have a clear vision of what you're doing going forward? And that is exactly what Congressman Ro Khanna called out of this administration in front of Congress right here.
So the 3 Republican witnesses come to a hearing on industrial policy, and none of them mentioned the word tariff, not one single one. And yet all Donald Trump is doing is tariff policy when the 3 Republican witnesses are recommending 100 different things other than tariff policy. Mr. Bishop, do you agree with Donald Trump's tariff policy?
I'm not here as an economic expert.
You're all saying you're not here as an economic expert, and yet you're giving us all these recommendations for how we build an industrial base. Is it that you don't have any expertise and we should just pick up any random citizen, or are you here as some economic expertise on industrial policy?
Is that for me?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I misspoke on this. I mean, on tariffs, this is just not one of the, like these guys as well, we're focused on building companies here.
But I don't understand how
you
don't have the President of the United States is saying the way to build manufacturing is to have these tariff policies. You're here to testify on manufacturing, how we're going to build it. You're telling me you don't have an opinion on whether the Trump tariff policy is successful or not?
We're here to represent private industry, people who are actually building companies, not people who are theoretical.
This is not a theoretical matter. He's implemented tariffs. I'm not even trying to trick you. I'm saying, do you agree with all his tariff policies, or do you disagree with them? Or are you so afraid that you don't know what to say?
I think all of us have been really clear. We're here to. This is not what we're here to talk about.
But do you agree with it or disagree with it? Yes or no? I mean, you could say either things.
I have the same position as these guys. We're here to talk about how to incentivize more manufacturing and industrial
Right, but
jobs.
do you think that the president's tariff policies are doing that or not?
I think it's a mix. I think what you're,
It's
as
a
Chris
mix.
said.
Some of it is correct and some of it is wrong?
Well,
You think some of Trump's tariff policies haven't worked?
No, I'm saying I agree with actually what Chris was saying, is that what we've seen so far has been, and what we're going to be seeing over the next 90 to 100 days has been really interesting, especially as more countries are coming back to the table. But I can't tell the
all
future.
Three of you are so afraid of criticizing Donald Trump that even though you don't mention tariffs in any of your testimonies, none of you are willing to say that this policy is totally backfiring.
I just don't want to try to predict the near future. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know what's going on in the minds of the counterparties in other countries, and I think this is an inappropriate place to be asked.
Inappropriate to ask you about tariff policy in a manufacturing hearing when that's the president's policy? Anyway, my time is...
Republicans cannot answer for these tariffs. They either run away or they are actually speaking out against Donald Trump. And he is now threatening Republicans, according to some new reporting, calling them on the phone and demanding they do not speak out against his tariffs or vote against his power to impose them. But that is not stopping certain Republicans like Rand Paul, who is making it incredibly clear just how damaging these tariffs are.
Well, here's the thing is, it's about emergencies. It's about whether we're going to run a country under emergencies. When the previous emergency with Canada and Mexico, they said, oh, it was fentanyl. I don't know, are they alleging that fentanyl is coming from Sweden or Finland or Monaco or, you know, it's emergency for 80 some odd countries. And through that emergency, then they're instituting a tax, which is a tariff, without the authority of Congress. So I have two objections. One is the emergency, and then there's the economic objection to tariffs. But primarily the debate really is over whether or not you're going to have the power of taxation originate in Congress. This is something, you know, the English fought against the king doing it. They fought for the supremacy of Parliament. And when our founding fathers did this, they said, oh, taxation and the power to destroy is such a power that we fear. We're only going to put that in Congress, and we're going to make sure that all taxes start in the House of Representatives before they go to the Senate.
This administration is a complete disaster. And again, I have to come back to the fact that I am so surprised that MAGA, who, sure, all they do is lie, but they usually stay on the same lie, cannot come up with any answer or reason behind these tariffs. Like today, when Jeff Bezos was attacked by Donald Trump, by the White House for, in their words, acting in like political action. It's like political, you know, this is treason is essentially what they were saying, that it was an attack by Amazon to point out the fact that tariffs raise cost. Yeah, that's the point. Like tariffs or not, the point is to raise costs on foreign goods. So why were they mad that that was being pointed out when it's obvious? It is incomprehensible to try to figure out what this administration is doing. So I'm not even going to try. We're just going to call them out. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.